Good morning. I am higher vibrations, and so are you. Wow, what an incredible 72 hours. I mean, it's been going for a little while, right? But holy cow, it has been some amazing transformation energy coming in. A lot of us are having increased ascension symptom as a result. Lots of like download, profound understanding, difficulty in being in the moment that you're in, past, future, present, all converging and becoming one and easily accessible, as well as other things that are not so pleasant. And so we're having a lot happening right now. Um, I see a lot of people have already commented. Tommy's here, Vegan Vixen, Vanya, Fleur de Lis, welcome. Colleen, Karen, uh, Lindsay, hello. Kim, welcome to see. Good to see you. Renee, Julie, Edward, Kelly, Luminous Light, hello. Eric's here. Lynn's here. Hi, Carrie. Skyla, Michelle. There's so many people here today. Welcome. So let's talk about some of these comments that you've all made. And this is a format where if you have any questions, you're welcome to ask. I present myself here as a channel. I open myself up before I join. And so it's not just my experience I'm speaking from. I'm getting messages from spirit as we talk. So Tommy says, hello from Missouri, intense energies. Yes, they are. Vegan Vixen, has anyone had a very strange week? Yep. Uncontrollable sobbing, anxiety and panic, absolute fatigue. That one I can relate to the most. And also a feeling of hopelessness and detachment from everything. Okay, this is a really good one to talk about. I'm thankful for you, Vegan Vixen, for having mentioned this. This is a really common experience a lot of people are having right now. We do it every couple of years, this thing that you're talking about. And most of us perhaps didn't know when we were doing it what was happening. And so it's a gift to us, this pulling away. All of a sudden, it feels like sometimes that all of a sudden I'm not a empath anymore. Like I don't have that empathic connection like I'm typically used to kind of feeling almost. And that's not what it is exactly. I just realized one of my cords was getting close to my candle. That would be disastrous. so, and it's like a reset is what it is. So we, each of us, are an energetic sphere. We're a sphere. We're a ball. And this ball of us, our physical form is just inside, is the shape of a finger, perhaps. And this is the ball. And about this sphere of you has all these connections, these cords, these attachments, these constant exchanges of energies that occur. And every once in a while you need what's called a reset. They call it a respite. I call it a reset. In order for us to then decide what energies we want to attach to, be connected to. Okay, so that already happens every couple of years. And then right now, so many of us are actively leaving behind other frequency. Like we are actively one thing at a time declaring our no in a kind, loving way. Saying no isn't exactly what I'm talking about, though sometimes that is the word that's used. It's this isn't enough. I'm not going to participate in this energy. And it's not like I'm done, and that whole like it's just I'm done. I'm done. And it doesn't have to be profound and loud and big. It just is. And when we do that, we are we are realizing that we are also leaving behind these frequencies, these energies, these places where we have spent the vast majority of our incarnations on this energetic sphere. And so there's a mourning. There's even if you're leaving behind someone, a relationship, think about something like that, that you're really glad to leave behind. There's still this heartsick, this grief, this mourning process that occurs. And when not acknowledged, often it can really have a big toll on our experience, and so that those feelings of detachment and just feeling hopeless and just kind of pulling away can be very easily mixed into this experience is what I'm talking about. And so it's not always a bad thing to allow yourself to experience the emotion that you're being honored with, right? We connect good and bad to emotion and experience because it's one that we favor and that we don't, though they all ought to be honored. And so just keeping this in mind, many of us are leaving that behind, and so we're having this fatigued and feeling the anxiety and the panic and the ew and the anger and the irritation and the whoa and all this stuff that just pops up out of nowhere. And it's not you. You're not feeling your own emotion. You're not feeling your own stuff. These are passers-by in the wind, a leaf flying about before you. You can reach out and grab it and make it yours, or you can let it fly by, go on its way. And a lot of us are feeling these senses that are coming from a collective experience, and so they feel very strong and profound, deep. And so we sometimes will then try to figure out, why is it there? And when we judge something, when we decide what it is, where it goes, how it's there, why it's there, and those types of things, we are judging it. And when we judge something, we're holding it in place, we're keeping it, we're preventing it from moving forward, which is the opposite of what we want. We don't want to keep this stuff. So just let it go, let it flow out and be out. Crazy ups and downs all week, Fleur de Lis. Thank you, by the way, Vegan Vixen, for your question or comment. Vanya, if I forgot to mention her, this past week has been tough. Physical exhaustion and emotional outbursts, foggy mind. Why is it hitting us so hard? This is smoke, by the way, for anyone I have a sage going. I love that stuff. So why is it hitting us so hard? So we have a lot happening right now. That's a fantastic question, Vanya. All right. First of all, we are leaving behind the month of July, moving into a full moon. And so when we leave behind a month of such powerful energy, such as July, there's also this amped up experience that occurs when you're kind of pulling away, kind of like that shout as you pull the last hair from a Band-Aid, as an example. And then at the same time, we're moving into a really powerful, another super moon. This will be, I think, the third super moon in a row. I can't recall. And then we will also have a blue moon this coming month, by the way. I think it's like the 28th, perhaps, of July, which is also a super moon, and it's a blue moon. And we have Lionsgate on the 8th of August, 8/8. And then we have a lot of things happening. It's all good. Like when we see all of this stuff lining up, like how many once in a lifetime astrological events have occurred in your lifetime? And the bulk of those experiences have been the past 3 years. Every year it gets more intense, and it does it to help us. It's like a way to point out a moment in this time so we can all agree to meet here, kind of a thing, right? And so we're having a lot of energies coming in to assist us too. And while that happens, we have an increased experience of light. And when we're healing through something, sometimes it feels like that it's more than we can handle. But what's actually occurring is all things that can be healed, now that there's all of this ability to do it, now that all of this light is present for you to do that, all the things that can be picked all address themselves. Pick me, pick me, pick me. And so it gets a little bit overwhelming, and allowing yourself to just consider one thing, one part, and remembering that these pangs in our body are reminding us an emotional response. You can look up what an organ emotion is, and it'll tell you when an organ or an area of your body is in disruption or disturbed in some way, when it's in discomfort. Feels like grounding or Groundhog Day in 3D, says Fleur de Lis, trying to find the way to arrive and stay in 5D. Yeah, so we all are continuing on our path up, okay? We always go like this. And so we think that we're going to go whoop and go up. And what we do is we go wow, like this. And once you've been up even an octave, just a step up above the energy that you had been at before, it becomes stabilized very quickly. So when we go back down, even if you're going back down to a frequency that was like your best day ever a few weeks ago, when you go back down to that best day ever now, it feels really dense. It feels really unpleasant. And so just keeping that in mind, that you're not falling behind, you're not losing traction. You're not losing any of your progress, that just allowing yourself the honor of knowing that. And I'm finding it very important and significant to declare out loud with voice, I release, fill in the blank. There's like some kind of attachment, connection, shared partnership with you and this energy, this way of whatever it is that you're talking about in this specific 3D sense. And to do some type of ceremony. Ceremony is simply declaring your intention and saying what's okay with you. I find it more advantageous for us to declare what we like versus what we do not like, by the way. So if there's something that you don't want in your life any longer, rather than saying, I don't want dishonest people in my life, to instead say something like, I want my life to be full of honest people, as an example. Um, Hi, Pamela, says Lindsay. I am so grateful for your channel. Oh, thank you, sweetie. When I close my eyes at night in bed, I sometimes get a bright white flash or flickering in my head. What could this be? You are a body of light, sweetie. And within our experience, within our body, it's a light show. Like, it's actually really beautiful. When I get to connect to people, when I get consent in these sessions that I do, I get to see the light show. It's like an LED show, and it's beautiful. When we guide the light to go into a specific area, it can help us too. Anyway, so what you're seeing is yourself. You're seeing, you're also being shown code. You'll notice that within those flashes, there are like almost watermark like images that will slowly come into your experience over time. So you can like get those codes. Um, Often we don't really have any knowing of what the symbol is with our logic, that we just know it's a very beautiful and important thing. It's really cool that you're at the stage. Allow yourself to stay in the place of happy joy, gratitude. When these come through, will help the experience to become a little bit more profound. Giving consent, of course. When we give consent, then we're saying, I would love to try this journey. Sometimes what I'll say is, please be gentle. Like, I'm all on board, but please be gentle, because why not? And when I declare I want to be gentle, it is more so. Hello, Julie. Good to see you. Edward, I think I said hello to you guys. Hello, Edward and Eric. Love these lives. Yeah, thanks, Eric. Edward's from Texas. Since going through Reiki at 1 and 2, the energy in my hands has intensified. Yes, this is super common. The heat thing. I went through a period where my hands wanted to be together all the time. It was really weird. And then I couldn't put my hands together very comfortably. They would always want to be together, and then they didn't want to. I noticed, though, that I've found some kind of equilibrium in that, and that when my hands heat up too so much, same with the bottoms of my feet, the soles of my feet, putting them together for a moment, it actually makes the heat and the discomfort of it go away. It's kind of something interesting. It's kind of fun. Yeah, you got some healing hands being activated. We all have chakras in our hands and our feet. We have chakras everywhere. We know about the main 7. Those are the primary chakras, I guess you could call them. And I think that might be what they call them. And then there are the other chakras. Primary is the word that's being used because those are the ones that we can access like the easiest and that are like more autopilot. No, that's not the right word. Yeah, I guess it would be the difference between crayons. Let's use crayons because I have a kiddo. It's a really easy example. Like in the earlier stages of her crayon use, they were these chunky things. Some of them were even like big little shapes, so her little hands can do what they need to do. And now she's using these little tiny things. Over time, you slowly progress to getting to access these easier, more fine motor skill kind of things. So yeah. Hello, luminous light. Yeah, so exhausted. Oh my goodness, I know. Lynn says a huge hi from New Zealand. New Zealand in the house. Awesome. Welcome. Hey, Carrie. I love you. Skyla. Hello, all. Michelle. Luminous light and Michelle are giving some loves and some beautiful emojis. Trina. Hello. Welcome. Matthew Love. Hello from Spain. Cool. Jackie, hello, friends. Hello, says Christina. Been a brutal month of purging old energy. Tell me about it. Okay, this is the newest thing for me because we've been talking about weeping. It's really a useful tool, right? Crying, releasing through the tears. Also, this works through releasing through laughter, the joyful laugh that we can get, and bring ourselves to that frequency. Though I find that the release through tears is the most efficient, rapid way of this release, allowing ourselves the honor of doing that, not simply for our own experience, though it also assists many. We're releasing old code, old frequency of a cycled memory that's kind of become distorted. And so as we release these things, these cyclings can end. That's like closing of the timelines. That's part of the closing of the timelines that we're doing. Allowing yourself to cry it out is so useful. And this other purging aspect of body. I was just telling a joke to my daughter that, maybe we should have jumped on board with, remember the TP apocalypse? That wasn't very long ago, where everybody was buying like all the TP in a panic. It was just like, what are these people doing? It almost felt like the person who was assisting in the galactic sense for the timeline, because the way that inventions and ideas and thoughts are presented to the collective is they kind of put it down in an electricity kind of way into our ionosphere, into the atmosphere of our world, and it trickles through really quickly. And that idea is presented to anyone who chooses to reach over and grab it. Just like thoughts, the thoughts aren't yours, it's coming from someplace else. And so these ideas, these thoughts come through and a person grabs them. And I was thinking at the time that the whole TP apocalypse thing was like the person that was in charge that day in the galactic world, like called in sick. And so like Carl from accounting was substituting, but he was a new guy anyway, and he kind of screwed it up, like toilet paper. Anyway, sorry, that was a tangent because we thought it was hilarious. So yeah, we're going through a lot of bathroom trips, that kind of purging, where with lots and lots of like weird acne, and it's like the kind of acne that I'm talking about is like my skin is completely clear, and then I'll do a session, or I'll do like some kind of healing for myself. I'll do some type of meditation or whatever. Something occurs as an activation, and all of a sudden, I have zits all over, like. And they're not really zits. And it's not, I'm do this because it's the part of my body I can show you. I mean, we're talking about all areas. Hey, 111 people, all areas of the body. The report that's the most common when it comes to this acne right now is in the lower area of our body, like the genitalia area and stuff. A lot of people are talking about this, and like, I'm noticing like in the armpits and like behind the ears and just that everywhere it's appearing, and it's just this releasing, this purging of old energy and toxins, things that were in our bodies and had been in our bodies for a long time and were not in disruption with us until now. Now we're in a place where we're in a different frequency range. And so trying to pull these things, that this is dead weight, this is energy that no longer serves you, so we're releasing it. And so there's lots of times an emotional response to it as well. We're finding that when this purge is happening, there's like this mournful state, there's this also angry, irritability will pop up, and that's not you, it's the frequency that's leaving that you're feeling. So just to keep that in mind. Thank you, Vegan Vixen. She gave me a beautiful donation of 1111. Thank you for everything you do for us. Much love to you. Oh, I love you. Thank you. It was very kind. The other types of purging that we're doing is this sweat stuff. So anybody that's having weird sweat, you'll notice this coming through, as well as other types of purging. We're doing some other layers, levels of purging, frequencies that maybe you didn't even know were interacting with you energy-wise, frequencies that maybe might not be fully embodied as the way we kind of term that embodiment, have always been part of our existence, and we're noticing that they're not as big and awesome as we thought, and we're kind of leaving them behind too. Some of these guides and these assisting energies are not intended to remain in our experience. You graduate, just like you do in any kind of situation. You leave behind the students from a school that you have completed your courses in, and if there may be a sadness in your heart as you say goodbye, though saying goodbye is the most important thing that you can do. and there's nothing wrong with that. You're still honoring and saying thank you for all that has been done up to that time. And so that's their job, and then you've just grown up above what you need from an energy like that. Michelle says, do you believe autism a firewall to protect the mind? I believe that, well, this is actually a really in-depth question, specifically the autism window of conversation, that I don't feel like I have the enough time to really present this topic as well as I'd like. Though I would say that they're they have spent, whoever you want to call they, many, many years deciding that something is a deficiency or a disability that is not. There is a lot of beautiful gifts that we give, that have been given to us and to you and to everyone, that are seen as a liability. And then when perspective is brought to it in the most beautiful light-filled way, hey, it's a palindrome, 1221, the most light-filled way, then we find that it was the best gift of all. And so I see that you wrote a follow-up question, so I'm going to read this to Michelle. I have a nonverbal 8-year-old son in diapers. Never imagined I'd be changing diapers and going through menopause. Just turned 51, while simultaneously paying for my first son's PhD. Yeah, you definitely have a spectrum of experience right there. And I hear you. Man, my heart goes out to you going through menopause during this awakening experience. Holy cow. That is not the most lovely sounding experience. Um, I would say that you will find in the very near future how much of a gift this experience has been, is being, and is currently for you and for all involved. Um, our little people, the little guys, the ones that are still young, so like an 8-year-old son example, um, are the masters. They are the masters. They're the ones that are coming here to be the teachers. We call ourselves teachers. I'm not a teacher. I'm like a substitute teacher on a Saturday. You know what I mean? Like I'm the person that they could get to come to work. And it's these kids. It's these blessed, gifted children who their only goal in life is to love and to teach. So um, I don't have an answer for you exactly, except to say that I am happy to see that you've been honored in this way. I'm sorry that it's not any fun. um, we could talk about this further, perhaps in a video at some time. I just made Kim a moderator because you're my sister and you have to do it. No, you don't. If you don't like it, you can remove it easily. I lost my place though. So if I missed your question, I apologize. I'm just going to pick up where we left off. Hi, Stephanie. Good to see you. I said hi to Jackie, I believe. Greg plays with games. I feel so grateful and happy right now to be watching this with something nice to eat. Gratitude is so important. Yes, it's so important. When we do anything, if done with a grateful heart, the impact, the lasting impact that it makes is amplified by a substantial amount. Like, I mean, you want to say times 10, but it's not. It's more. It's more. And if you can maintain your gratitude in your heart for 90 full minutes, then when it echoes back, because it takes 90 minutes to go to the edge of the cosmos and come back to you. If you're still on that gratitude place, if you're still on that grateful heart, when it comes back, when it boomerangs back to you, when it cycles back, then it impacts you even further, deeper, stronger. It's like you're kind of doing a placeholder for the energy when it comes back to you. Thank you for saying that. It's so important. Like everything is worth being grateful for. And the more that we're grateful, the more that comes. Like, like the conversation about money is an example. Most of us don't even realize that we're asking the universe to present us with lack by talking about not having. And it's just a typical conversation. You share space, you share bills with another person. You're going to talk about whether or not you can afford something. However, when that topic is considered so thoroughly we are essentially telling the universe, this is all that I want. And, so we keep that in mind when we say, I'm grateful for this, I'm grateful for that. And rather than saying, this is my Christmas list, then all of a sudden, these things become amplified. And the more amplified they become, the easier it is to manifest because you then have belief. It's no longer faith. Acting without proof is faith, right? Believing without proof. And then it becomes knowledge. Then you just know. Once the experience starts to manifest itself, it's beautiful. Thank you for saying that. Vicky says, felt very disoriented yesterday. Yeah. Just yesterday, the energies were so crazy. I jumped on a impromptu little meeting with a few people last night. And pardon me a second, please. A lot of people are having lung things right now, by the way. I am so surprised to hear that. Anyway, I was having a impromptu, like, small group meeting that just kind of happened. And and when I was in it, I noticed that my energies were unregulatable. Like, I was like, "Wah!" And I was over here and over here, and, like, because of these frequencies, some of them that are carried on love are old memory too. And so when the old memory comes in, there's the stabilized, awesome love part. And then there's like this erratic child that, doesn't get any attention kind of energy that goes along with it. And I found, and I realized at the end of the day that we were healing that, and a whole amazing, profound experience followed that lasted well throughout the night. I woke up so many times. Of course, I woke up at 3:33, just as usual. So yeah, disorientation is usually for me when we're connecting to higher frequencies that are accustomed to in recent days, months, or years. We, again, do this kind of emotion. And so when sometimes our dip lasts longer because we then consent or commit to it by saying, oh, this is where I'm at now. It's called this, I've named it something. It's called foreverism. When the experience that I'm in is something that I've decided it's going to be like this forever, for the rest of all time. I'm going to be sad. Then it kind of drags it on, and so if I can pull myself out of the foreverism of the moment and realize that this is a passing moment like all things, then it's easier for it to move. I started to tell that story with a different thought, and then I just kind of went someplace else. So I noticed my chat here, when I scroll down a little bit, it'll skip all the way to the bottom, and then I try to find, and it just skipped again, and it distracted me. So anyway, Stephanie, hugs. Thank you for those who said to click the like button. I saw that pop up by a few of you. I appreciate it. What does it mean? Christina says, what does it mean to see blue light around my hands when I write? Ooh, cool. So for me, and although this is typical for a lot of people, not always, does this mean that this is what you're seeing. Everyone has their own frequency and understanding of what the visuals are being presented to them. They have their own meaning. However, for me, when I see this blue, beautiful, like sky blue color come through, it's typically always either an Archangel Michael energy or Mother Mary energy. What's funny to me is I kind of feel like the same person, only in the divinity of their gender. So we have the divine masculine, divine feminine. And you have powerful energy in your hands. Our hands are usually one of the first things that turn on that we can believe because we can see it when it's happening. I would say the other one is that when you first start to see, like, it looks like the sun is lighting from behind you when you're doing something profound, like someone just opened the curtains and the sun's shining through all of a sudden. That's another one that most of us this is you stepping into your divinity. And so you're being guided to be in that energy. Allowing yourself to use this writing as a way of channeling is really beautiful and fun and quite simple, I would say, as well. We have what they call automatic or automated. I used to think I knew the right way to say it, and everybody says things differently these days. It means the same thing. is that you get a pen and paper. I always get a pen because I can trust that the ink will continue for me, and then I'll just start to write. You don't think about what you're writing. I will sometimes write a question. I'll ask a question, and then I'll just let my hand write. I don't focus on the spelling or the grammar or the punctuation. I just write. And then it eventually, at first, it takes a little bit of time, sometimes a page or two. Though once you get into the habit of it, it becomes really easy. Then you'll notice that channeled information is starting to be given to you. You get the information, it's conversation in a channel form. You can ask who they are. You can also declare, which I suggest to only those who are presenting themselves for your highest joy and your highest good. When we're doing these things, it makes it easier. So you don't have to work all that time with your discernment, even though discernment's pretty accessible. So that's really cool. Congratulations. Jackie, hello from Glasgow, Scotland. Scotland is an awesome place. There's so much going on right now over there energetically. Gina, hi everyone from Tampa, Florida. Oh, Florida is another one. Thank you, Pamela, for all that you do. Oh, thank you. Thank you so much for saying that. You guys are so beautiful. I'm going to cry, and crying is okay. It's beautiful. And I usually typically find myself these days crying in joy and in love more than anything else. And it's kind of cool. Tina says, Pamela, so happy to be here today. Good to see you, sweetie. Jackie says, I did a deep, intense holotropic breathwork class again yesterday and had a huge release. Feel so much better today. Yay, Jackie. So happy to hear that. There are so many things that are involved, have to do with breath work kind of stuff, working on your breath, doing different forms of breathing. A lot of us will breathe when we're doing meditation. We'll breathe in through our mouth, fill up our belly. And as soon as we're ready, it feels full. Then we release the breath. We start to then exhale. Though I find that if I hold it for a few seconds, when it's comfortable, and then release it, that it's much more profound. That's a simple example. There's a lot of different breathing techniques that you can find on YouTube and a variety of places. Using letting yourself energetically work in the breath will help you in everything that presents itself. It's amazing. What we're leaving behind right now isn't so much of the what's the experience feels like. It's that what we're moving into. The consciousness of water has been activated in such a high frequency way that it's becoming more accessible to the masses. As it becomes more accessible to the masses, then they begin to realize that all water contains memory. And within this memory contains all the lifetimes that have been had, not only on this energetic sphere, not only on this planet. There's been many places where this water has come from. What's more is that the water about us contains the code of all things. And this water's within you as well. You are like around 70% water. So as these things start to come through, we're going to start to have more and more memory come through, that some of the things can feel really uncomfortable. Like all of a sudden connecting to someone who's incredibly jealous and ashamed and angry at the same time. It just all of a sudden, it happened to me last night. I connected to a lifetime of somebody that I wasn't connected to exactly. It had to be seen. And it was a moment, just a moment. And that experience was so uncomfortable. And I remember thinking, my first thought was, this poor man had to feel like this. And when I sent that love and that understanding and let it be released, that I didn't have to just, what else did happen in that life? What did he do? What was his name? Where did he live? What was the time frame? When I released it, then it released so many layers of the all. And then many of these layers of memory weren't even real. They were memory having been cycled through a brain cycling thought process. And each time we cycle through a thought, changing the memory again and again, creating more and more experiences of it, more timelines of it. And so we closed all of those in that moment of, I see you. Man, that was hard to be you. I love you. You can go now. You've been seen. And that's it. It's kind of cool. I think I went off track again. I've had a very, just as all of you, interesting 72 hours. And so I'm still trying to like digest, process some of this into words that has happened. Teresa, I love knowing I'm not alone. You are not alone. And you're not crazy. That's the one thing most of us get called in the earlier phases. Even if we don't get called that by outside people, we call that to ourselves as a limiting thing. And I love when we can move out of that and be us. Just be you. She says, not to get into details deeply, but is there anyone else having cycle issues? Yep. Of menopause age, but not officially made it there yet, but not having random spotting. It's a good question. If anyone has an answer or relates to that, I've noticed that every age group who has cycles have been disrupted in some way lately. I mean, we're talking about, one of the examples I'm thinking of is my friend who has a daughter who's 14, and there's no physical, medical cause for it. Many of us are having like really heavy flow, having more frequent flow, things like that. And some are the opposite of just, I don't know why. I do know that there is a science behind weight gain and loss that has to do with the cycles. And so some of the experiences I would believe have something to do with that because so many of us are in that place right now where we're either gaining weight rapidly or we're losing it relatively quickly, as a result of our change in our diet and our lack of appetite, our desire to not have such frequency in meals. I do what's called intermittent dieting. That's not the right word. Intermittent fasting. And for that, I just don't eat until evening meal, and it's not because I'm not going to eat until then. It's just my body doesn't want to, and sometimes I will eat lunch and sometimes I won't. Most of the time I don't. And it's changing our body's mass. And so when that changes and that shifts, there's a roller coaster of body mass index or whatever it's called, whatever you want to call it. Excuse me. Then we're going to have effects on our cycles. That's aside from the fact that everyone is consistently having this happen. And you know what? I used to have a particular one that had a shorter window of time, and now I'm just synced exactly with the full moon cycle. Which, by the way, we're about to have a full moon, so that's pretty exciting. This full moon energy is bigger than most moons. I can pull up in my memory, so I'm pretty excited about this full moon. Thank you for your question. White smoke, Catherine asked. Yeah, I have sage. I typically always start sage when I do any kind of work, and that has more to do with my culture than it does clearing, to be truthful. It's just something I enjoy. Jackie says, my gum is sore. Yes, sweating lots. Can't sleep through the night. I'm up to 7 a.m., then going to sleep last night. Then going to sleep. Last night was strange in meditation. I seen a ship going in different skies, dark light, etc. Yeah. So the gum thing is really, really common right now. It feels almost like you have like a headache in your gums. For me, that's the closest example I can come up with. Typically, they're almost exactly in the same moment that we have impact of a solar flare. I'm finding for my own experience, though. We are activating our throat chakra region, which covers quite a bit of area. Our throat chakra technically is here. Right here is our higher heart. Though all of this area is your throat chakra, and then all chakras work together too. Like it doesn't go like indigo and then all of a sudden blue. There's like the colors mix, just like in the rainbow, where they slowly go into the next color, and those other colors that are in the middle are minor chakras too. Anyway, this whole area. So we're talking about, I'm having a lot of draining in the sinuses still. And then you're noticing too that it's causing the desire, the need to cough. I'm feeling like this has a lot to do with activation of chakras, to be truthful about it too, because when you cough, you're engaging all of these chakras at the same time, right? All of these spaces. And then it also has to do with your heart too. your heart comes on and is beats harder when you cough. And so it's interesting how things like that work out. Anyway, so the gum soreness, oral or dental trauma, even lots of weird like canker sores and stuff. I've noticed that for me, it's always the top gums, and there's this sinus aggravation happening, or even clicking or popping that's happening right in the just before the ear. Also noticing like the jaw joint kind of having a thing. It seems like it's all at the same time, and so this is all throat chakra related. Um, and so that tells me that collectively speaking, where many of us are being activated in our throat chakra, which makes a lot of sense. Most of us have multiple lifetimes or incarnations previous to this one, where we had been, including this one, however, where we had been limited in our thought, in our voice, in our being our truthful, most authentic selves. There was persecution. There were things like the witch trials that had gone on long before the witch trials and long after. It was in this lifetime as me that when I spoke about Pleiadians as a teenager, they put me in a hospital, you know, and for a short time, and just things like that where there's persecution. And so we have put up guards, walls, barriers around this throat chakra space ourselves too. And so it's the breaking down of those walls and barriers on top of it. To continue your question, it's been strange couple of nights, especially last night. I would say too, a lot happened last night. A lot more lucidity and dreaming, dream recollections increasing, your realization that you can engage and participate in a very intentional way in your dreams more easily. Things like that. Michelle says, yes, my 8-year-old nonverbal son is my greatest teacher, bar none. That's beautiful. I understand what you're saying and needing to be of service to him in such a hands-on kind of way during this tumultuous, this turbulent moment of experience, and just know that we honor you in this greatest, beautiful gift that you are providing with the world, and for him. Jackie, I just noticed my 27-year-old son had a pure white, bright aura around the outline of his head last night. Whoa! You're going to start to see more probably. There's so much to be seen energetically on the body. Living Room YouTube says, why am I experiencing lower back pain? All right, so that's a really good question. Hi, Kim. I think I said hi to Kim. I hope I did. Oh, yeah, and then I made you. So we have usually, I'd say usually, some people are different. Some people have more or less than what I'm going to say. But most of us have 3 sets of wings. We have a set on top. So that's when we first start to notice the neck stuff. And then it goes on either side, and or at the same time, both sides. And we notice that we're kind of like favoring one side, so kind of feel like we're lopsided in our if that makes sense. And then that goes down to the middle back. And the middle back is usually where the energy flows out and kind of collectively distributes the energy through the other wings. And then below that is another set of wings. So this particular set has it's most helpful when you're engaging or activating these wings to do a lot of things involved around and with the lower chakras, specifically the red root chakra, as well as the sacral chakra, which is the sunset orange. It's actually really beautiful orange. When we allow ourselves to do this work with them, let them ground, help them ground, digging the energy from your root chakra that's coming down from God, down out of your root chakra, digging it like roots of a tree into the soil and grounding it in that way. You notice that the roots of a tree, they accept. They go down to draw water, to draw life, to draw light. And so when you're letting yourself do that, you're not giving anything away. You're making it so you can put straws down in there and suck some more of it up, right? And then allowing that sacral chakra to move back to where you're feeling that sensation, that discomfort. And while it moves back, it kind of flows like, I don't know, like it fills it up like a balloon, I guess, in a much more beautiful way than filling a balloon, I would say. And this flow, this motion. We do this with all of our chakras. Technically, we have a big toroidal field that has every one of the colors. I think there's like 144 colors at least, that come out and prism out of the diamond chakra above our crown chakra and do the whole thing. They make this ring, this cyclical, all the way around us. When you look down upon somebody, they look kind of like a multicolored flower. Um, Though when we do it with intention for specific areas of our body, it increases the healing of it and helps the motion, kind of like improving your circulation of your blood. So um I don't know if that, trying something like that, there's a lot of like guided meditations for, like balancing your chakras, energy balancing, things like that would be useful for something like that. um the other thing about the back, not so much the lower back though, this is something that is really common, is that when we start to feel like pain in the back, like stuff going on in the back, often it's the same time as we're noticing throat chakra related, and this is the betrayal, that's being remembered. And so when we remember something that has happened throughout the course of many lifetimes on it, often it comes through as a sensation rather than a thought. And so just the forgiveness and the acceptance and the love. Because, there isn't really any forgiveness, because at sometimes in some of our lifetimes, we were also those that were causing persecution on others. It's just a cycle, and we're cycling out now. All cycles are closing. And so honoring yourself, giving yourself the love that is deserved, really assists you in those experiences. So, Flirtily, thank you for your guidance in line. Oh, thank you, sweetie. She sent me 1111 too. I love these 1111s are everywhere the past 2 days. It's kind of a bit of a joke. I cannot look at something without it. And then I said 1111 to somebody, and it was 111 for them. It's the most cool thing. Thank you so much. You guys are so cool. Let's see. I lost my spot. Okay, Vanya, my 56th birthday was on the 28th of July. Oh, happy birthday. And I wrote poems all day that made me cry from all the released emotion. Oh, cool. It's as if a volcano erupted in my emotions. It was so intense. Wow, that is so cool. I'm so happy to hear that. And happy birthday. What a way to honor self. What a gift. Allowing this is a good example if anyone feels to follow suit. There is so much that needs to be released, and usually through writing is how it's most easily done. All right, I lost my spot again. It's trying to get me to. Okay. Let's see. Okay, Patriot Hero. Hello. I've seen 1111 a lot. Happy birthday, Vanya. Thanks, Vanya. Appreciate that, says Skyla. All right. So I lost my spot again. And so we're going to go back up. Vanya says, Skyla, I've been asking myself the exact same question. I am inclined to let people go without judgment, but my husband argues that I should keep interacting with them. This is a very good question or conversation. Love probably should have gone up and found Skyla's, but so there is a natural shedding of relationships that occurs throughout our life. Like we talk about, oh, dark night of the soul, and like, here comes the dark night of the soul. I already had my dark night of the soul. There are so many dark nights of the soul that can be had. It depends on how much we can release, and we can't release all things, not in the same moment. It would be a shock to the system. Just like when I asked, why can't we all purge all of this at one point? And I saw the visual example of several people purging all the toxins at the same time. And it was impossible for that person to stay hydrated. It would shock your system. And so is too for removing and shedding these individuals from our lives, like we do in the dark night of the soul. A natural parting of ways occurs when we start to stand in the appreciation, the honoring, and the love of ourself and of our truth. And what's more is that often we'll see that these individuals that we've forced participation and engagement with have actually not gotten anything out of it either, that we're holding them in place as well, that we are enabling them to remain in this lower frequency storyline that we're participating in. No one's getting anything out of it. and so it is definitely time to go in those situations. I agree. It's okay to mourn it. Though I'm finding more and more there's not mourning at all. Like, it's just, there's this thing that's been happening, and it's an ever evolving understanding, though it's a new toy for me, is the art of uninvestment. Uninvestment is a different level, and the next level up of this thing of releasing, removing your um, desire or need to control things, and then it takes it to a whole different space. When you uninvest in a person, you're not saying I don't love you. You're actually showing them that you love them, and also understanding that no one can make another person another way. I've heard this all my life, though I've never really truly fully understood it. Like, someone says, "You make me so happy." And my response is expected to be, "Oh, I'm so glad that I make you things," and it's not even a true statement. We make no one nothing. And if I've done something that has created a trigger that then turns into a person being angry, that still has nothing to do with me. Like, if there is something that I have done intentionally to cause harm, then perhaps there's a moment to apologize and to, you know, participate in that loving exchange. However, the uninvestment is truly realizing that none of it matters. None of it matters to me. And it's not that I don't love that person. It's they're busy doing their thing. And so it's time for me to lovingly step away. And so I will too. I'll say, "I love you. I'll talk to you when you are ready." Or, "I love you," and then back away. I'm sending you love because I am. I'm a truthful person. And I'm also not going to put myself in some type of sacrifice of expecting to stand there and to be in ridiculed or whatever it is, playing the game. I don't want to participate. And guess what? We don't have to. We don't have to. Believing that you had to for all of these years was a lie. It was a lie. I don't know where it came from, and it doesn't matter. Knowing that it's a lie, what are you going to do now? Now that you have this information, uninvest. What someone's reaction is to something has nothing to do with me. And when I do that, it is a higher level of love that I couldn't access before. Like, I then love that person more intensely and more deeply than I ever could. I am no longer a acting character in that person's life, because we are all in our own spin, as Elsa Dillon will say. We all are spinning and doing our own thing. So thank you for all of the hearts. Patriot Hero says, "I'm feeling really lonely today. Anyone else?" This is a really common reaction to what we were talking about earlier. I can't remember the person whose comment it was. I have to cough again. Excuse me. Pardon me. Where we all of a sudden feel detached, isolated, alone, where it's like, wow, am I still an empath? Like, I know that there's people around me. How come I can't feel them energetically? And this is the reset, the respite. And so this happens about every 2 years. I noticed it happened also in January, which was off calendar, off cycle. So it's just kind of like a re-dip for those who didn't get enough of a dip, I guess. What this is a time for you to reestablish your consent, or to allow the removal of consent to remain the way that it is. So, for example, we up until lately, most things we didn't know how to, or that we could consent or remove consent for things, and so everything was assumed consent. When we remove consent, then we start over. Now our canvas is clean, and we get to decide what colors we're going to put upon it. We get to decide if we're going to put colors on it at all. And so then when you reestablish those connections, those energetic motions, that exchange that occurs, then you start to notice that you weren't ever alone. It's a sensation that's really common, and especially for right now. Matthew, hello. Is there a way to ease the energetic jolts in the spine? I had an accident and broke my back. L1, L3, L5, T11, and T12. So my spine's held together with metals. It makes me feel Like, makes me feel so down. Okay, so yeah, there is. I actually had something not as extreme as you. I had something similar in my younger years. Um, and I wasn't supposed to be able to walk again. They told me when I was 15 that you 14 that I would never walk again. They just plain as day. And I was, no, that's not going to happen. Of course. Um, so this is a really in-depth question. This is really a lot of awesome stuff that you can do, but the main thing is to do kind of like I said earlier. I think it was about 15 or 20 minutes ago I'd mentioned in this video, this live, that watching the motion of the energy flow through. So um, we have this rod, of us. That's the frequency, the space of that rod of all of the chakras, right? Above that chakra, above your crown chakra, about a hand's width above your crown chakra is a large diamond. Like, I mean, this thing's massive and it has a lot of faces to it, like cuts or flat parts. And it prisms. Like, I always think it's like 144 different shades, different hues of color. That prism, this light is being prismed. This light that's coming down is being prismed is coming from God and coming from Gaia. So first we notice the light of God coming down, move it through all of our chakras, dig it down to Gaia, go down to Gaia's heart, connect that light to Gaia's heart, which is an orb of light in the way I see it. Everyone sees it differently. Then she like embraces you. Her light glows and her light's glow grows. That was a little difficult to say. And expands and then sends it back to you amplified by at least 10, back up through the soil, back through your root chakra into you. And then when it goes back through into the diamond chakra, it continues up to God. However, guess what else? It also prisms out. It prisms out in perfect arch all around, back down and up through your root chakra, and then back up again. And it cycles, cycle, cycle, cycle. And then it looks like a bunch of rings all the way around you. It's really fun to look down at people energetically so you can look at them from above because they look like really cool rainbow flowers. Like, they're so pretty. And then the more we work on it with intention, the thicker that these toroidal field rings are. And now we start getting that in motion with intention. And so it makes it stronger, and then guiding it. Now, it's strong. It's in its own motion. It's doing it naturally. Then the next time you move the light down and up, then you direct it specifically to areas that need more light, to these areas in your spine that need more light. And as you do it over time, you'll notice that you can, within your mind's eye, go into a microscopic kind of way and follow this flow of light like you would be surfing, just as a passenger upon it, as it moves in motion toward, and you'll see where it needs to be lit. There are just areas that need more flow. That's all. All things, the solution to all things is light. That's it. And light is love and love is light, and there's no separating the two. It's very fascinating because it's accessible for all, and it has been available for so long that only now we're all figuring out exactly what it's for. There's a lot more to it. I hope that this limited amount of information can help you. There's so much to it. We can self-heal. We're the strongest healers that we know, each of us. You can heal yourself so much easier, efficiently, I don't know the right word, than you could anyone else. It's choice, it's decision, it's accepting, it's consent, it is asking with love. I find that there is a confusion sometimes between what a command of commanding energy really means, because command sometimes is like an authoritarian rather figure saying or declaring what will occur, with you don't have a choice. And instead it's asking. When I make things happen, when I move things, when I create, and this energetic way, it's always as if asking your child, to wash their hands. Everything about that. There's this kind of needs to happen. However, you can wash your hands now or in 5 minutes. It's kind of how I do it. But with my kiddo, those types of ideas, though, it's like it's not done out of malice, out of anger, out of I'm just done. This is something that we need. Thank you for doing it. And then it does. And then it just does. I don't know. Matthew Love, I didn't accept the negative beliefs from the doctors. I was told I'd never walk again. My legs are finally coming back online. Awesome. Matthew Love, thank you so much for your comment. I hope that I get to talk with you again. I think that we have more to discuss regarding this topic. Unfortunately, it's 101 my time, and I do need to get going. I have in my description of this video, I have my information for anyone who'd like to email me. There's also a Telegram group that is free as well. It's a group of over 300 people of just all around the world. It's really cool to connect and find all the resources available there and to see that you're not alone. Now, so many people are simultaneously experiencing the same thing, as well as I offer one-on-ones if that's something that interests anybody. I'm changing my schedule starting in September. So it appears that I have less openings coming September than I have before. And that's because the overlap of the scheduling. And so by the end of the August window, then we'll be able to see that there's more openings in September. So please, if you can't find a spot, go ahead and send me an email. Last thing is I'm going live with Todd Medina and Soulology Network, as well as with Elsa Dillon from Spin Beings. We're going to do that at 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, which is 3 hours from now. This is going to be available live in all of the Soulology Todd Medina platforms, as well as like Facebook and YouTube. And I don't know all the platforms he's on, to be honest. I don't do any platforms other than YouTube and Telegram. Anyway, so knowing that this conversation is a free conversation. However, this is the first of my weekly slot that I will have with his group. So his website, soulologynetwork.com, is a site that is like an alternative YouTube for spiritual people, and it's content like this one. And so if anyone is interested, then you're welcome to go over to his site and check it out. It's pretty neat. Some of the stuff that it's still under construction. This website, though, it's really developed and it's really beautiful. Lastly, just so you all know, if anyone happens to be available or able to go to Houston in December, we are going to Houston for the spiritual gathering there. There's a spiritual retreat called Soulology Fest. That is another Soulology group thing. That is December 8th, 9th, and 10th. We're getting there a day or two early. It's going to be fun. I'm one of the speakers for this group. I'm one of the many who are participating. And also, there's going to be 72 hours of stage time. So anyone who wants to speak up and participate and share their truth in this way are able to do so in this place. It's going to be really cool. This place is going to be amazing. So anyway, I love you all so much. Thank you all for joining me today. And I will talk to you next Sunday. Same bat time, same bat channel. Aho.